Hey guys, it's Jules, and for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I have new hair. It's purple. It's got bangs. I love it so much. Today I'm going to be doing the last recent reads of the year because even if I finish any books from in the next 4 or 5 days, I'm probably not going to film another recent read, so I'm just going to make this the last one regardless. So I have a lot of books to talk about and I forgot to make a list of my likes and dislikes, so I'm going to be kind of guessing a little bit and I probably won't go as much into detail as I normally would. Also, I reread a lot of books and so I don't want to focus too much on those because for those of you who've watched every single one of these, you're gonna be sick of it. If you haven't seen me talk about these books, you can check out my other ones. I'm sure you'll find it there, but I'm not gonna go into detail with the ones that I've already read before. I will, however, give the 2-sentence synopsis like always. So the first 2 books I have to talk about are Heartstopper Volume 1 and 2 by Alice Oseman. Already read these, adore them. 2 sentences to describe this book would be, what starts off as a friendship slowly becomes a romance between 2 boys. Lots of life drama ensues. Next, I read There's Something About Sweetie. This is the art copy, but I read the hardcover, but I have a friend borrowing it right now because he enjoys romances, and if somebody wants to read a contemporary romance, I'm gonna give them all of Sandhya Menon's books. 2 sentences to describe this book would be, boy is struggling to get back into the dating game after a breakup, so he asks his parents to set him up with somebody. They go on cute dates, but there's more to this book than just the romance. This is also a book that I've read before, so I'm not going to go into it, but I do love it, so I would recommend 1000%. Up next, I read The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. I absolutely adored this book. 2 sentences I would use to describe it are, a group of friends / accomplices work together to steal something from somebody. There's more to the artifacts than they're prepared for. Also, just because everyone kept saying this, it's nothing like Six of Crows. I don't know who thinks it is, but it's not. So what I liked about this book is we got all those different points of views of everybody, so we got to see everyone's different thoughts. So it really helped with getting to know the characters better and getting to see how they view each other. I said accomplices, but they're really good friends too, and it's such a tight-knit group, and I just love that so very much. Found families are some of the best things to read about, so I absolutely adored that. And then what I disliked about this book was there was this one character, and from the beginning I was something's gonna happen to them, and I really didn't want it to happen, and it ended up happening, and I feel because of that, the character, maybe this is just my opinion, or maybe it's just because it's been a while since I've read it, but it just felt like the character was not as developed as the rest of the characters. But other than that, I absolutely love this book. Such a great read. Also, I think Katie bought this for me at the beginning of the year or something, so thank you very much. So next is another reread, and it's I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. Is anyone surprised? So 2 sentences to describe this book would be, fandom world and real life boy band collide. Everything starts to go very, very bad. So next I read Bingo Love by T. Franklin, Jenn, St-onge, and Joy San. I adored this book. 2 sentences to describe it would be, gay teens fall in love in the 60s but are torn apart by their families and just societal norms, and they're reunited 50 years later, I believe. So what I liked about this book is the art. It's so cute and colorful. Yeah, it's just so nice. Sorry, everything's so bright. Oof. Can you see it? Sorry if you can't. And I thought the story was really cute and interesting, and it dealt with so very much for such a short book, but that's actually what I disliked about it. Because it was so short, I just felt everything felt a tad bit rushed. I wish they had expanded on everything more, especially the relationship. I wish it had been more developed and just been a little bit longer because that would have helped immensely. Next, I read Fake Blood by Whitney Garner. 2 sentences to describe this book would be, boy pretends to be a vampire in order to impress a girl. As he attempts to woo her, things start to go south. I thought this was super cute. It's a middle grade graphic novel. The art's fantastic, which of course is gonna be my favorite thing, always. It's so simple. Alright, I use my window for light, so if you can't see anything, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I just really like the art. I think it's so nice and simplistic. And then what I disliked about this book was, there's this one scene, I don't want to go super into it because it's towards the end, so it's got spoilers and everything. Something happens and someone just shows up unexpectedly, and it just did not make any sense to me. I had to flip back a couple times because I was am I missing a page? Because this character just shows up and no one even batted an eye that they were there, and I'm That doesn't make any sense, but alright. So that was a little weird. Next, I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Jocelyn actually got this for my birthday, so thank you for that. Two sentences to describe this book would be sister of the bride and brother of the husband have to take their honeymoon package because everyone got sick at the wedding. Romance starts to develop, but life problems and lies come out to the open, which create problems. So what I liked about this book is how the first like half or so is the honeymoon, and then the second half or so is like once they get back and them dealing with like everything that they've like kind of learned. So I thought that was really interesting because it like focused on like two different things, which I know some people wouldn't like some people want just straight romance the entire time. I just thought it was interesting, and so we got to see like the characters react in like different settings as well. We're not just seeing them like on a honeymoon in the honeymoon phase. So I can't remember what I disliked about this book. I know there was something, and it wasn't like a big thing, which is why I can't remember it, but there was something. The next book I read was Teen Titans Raven by Garcia, illustrated by Gabriel Picolo. I put emphasis on that because the whole reason I bought this book is because of the artist. I've been following him on Instagram and Twitter for years, and his Teen Titans artwork is amazing, along with a lot of other stuff he's done. Every piece of his like work is just amazing, but I'm focusing on Teen Titans because that's what I read. As soon as I heard that he was gonna do this graphic novel, I had to pick it up. So since I picked this book up for the artist, my favorite part of course was the art. I absolutely adored it. But yeah, I love his art style so very much. As for what I disliked was just how despite like so much happening, we still didn't learn a whole lot about Raven. She gets amnesia in the beginning, like that's not a spoiler. Because of that, like she doesn't remember her past or anything. I just feel like by the end of the graphic novel I was hoping we'd know a little bit more. Not everything of course, but like more than we did get. Two sentences to describe this book would be girl gets into an accident and loses her memory and has to go live with her foster mom's sister. As the school year goes on, her powers start to like slowly show themselves to her, and she's stuck figuring them out all by herself. So my next read was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Two sentences to describe this book would be socially anxious / awkward girl has been living in a rut for the majority of her life. One little change in her routine starts to change everything, and she starts to come out of her shell. So what I liked about this book is just kind of how like the entire time you're just like left wanting to know what exactly is going on with Eleanor. Because like obviously there's some past trauma in her life, like she mentions it very casually at times but never goes into it, and so like as you're reading you just want to know, and I really liked that because it kept me wanting to read, and I just thought that was like really interesting, just like learning everything too, because you learn like bit by bit. What I disliked about this book though is at the beginning of the book, Eleanor, I found her so very annoying, like so annoying that I almost DNF'd this book. But I didn't because Sammy told me that once you keep reading you understand why she is the way she is. At first, she irritated me to no end. Next, I read Vinegar Girl by Anne Tyler. It is a retelling of The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. Two sentences to describe this book would be girl who is in a rut with her life is somewhat forced to marry a man in order to help him get his visa for the sake of her dad's project. She continues to fight it, but eventually relents. So what I liked about this book was the cover, because I found this absolutely gorgeous, but also I really liked the main character, Kate, until like a certain point, like towards the end. I'll go into it in a sec. But yeah, so I really liked Kate at the beginning, like I loved how she like that, but then what I disliked is the end, because she basically does like a 180 and changes how she is as a person. I guess I should have expected this from a Shakespeare story, but I really hated the ending. It made me so mad. The next book I read is The Devouring by Christine, Lynn, Herman. Two sentences to describe this book would be girl is forced to move back to her mother's small hometown. The founding families of the hometown have secrets, and everything starts to unveil itself as things start to get worse. So one of the things I really liked about this book was you get everyone's point of view, but it's like told in third person. I really like that because we got to learn about the characters, and that was really interesting. My two favorite characters are Violet and Isaac. I would die for them, and I can't wait to see what happens in the sequel. So what I disliked about this book, which is nothing wrong with the book, I just really hate cliffhangers, but it ends with a cliffhanger. I didn't realize that this wasn't a standalone till I got to the end. That was really frustrating, and I've got to wait till April. The next book I read was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. This is a self-help book, but it's not about not caring caring about things. It's about prioritizing which things to care about. What I really liked about this book is there was so much like really useful advice. Like some of it was like stuff I already knew, like I learned on my own just from like life experiences, but other things I had not really like thought of and considered, so that was really interesting for me and I liked that. So I annotated the heck out of it. You can't see, there's so many tabs and highlights. I thought this was really insightful. However, what I disliked was there were times where the chapters would get repetitive. Each chapter was split up into like different like subsections, and like the subsections themselves would get repetitive, so that was a little annoying. The next book I read was Check Please, book 1 by Ngozi Ukazu. Sammy got it for me for my birthday, so thank you, Sammy. 2 sentences to describe this book would be: boy joins college hockey team. He becomes friends with everyone and also learns to grow at the same time. So what I really liked about this book is the art. Are we surprised? Of course not. It's just like so cute. When he does like his vlog, like, I guess not this one, he's like typically more in focus than the background is. Like in this one it's all pretty in focus. And what I disliked about this book was just that I felt like the characters could have been a little more developed, because okay, so this graphic novel is their first 2 years of college, or well, Eric's first 2 years of college. We learn a lot, and we do learn a lot about the characters too. I just feel like maybe I just didn't connect to them is the problem. The last 2 books that I read I'm putting together just because they're by the same author, but it is Honeybee and Aphrodite Made Me Do It, both by Trista. I am not huge on poetry, but I've seen on Twitter, I always see Heather from Aphrodite Reads talking about this book, so that was one of the reasons I wanted to pick it up. And then the other is Whitney from Whitney Novels mentioned both of these in her vlog. Like she read this one recently, and this one was like a while ago that I think she mentioned. So poetry is very hit or miss for me, but I like to read it anyways, just because it's like if I don't read it I'm not gonna find something I like, you know? Girl is processing a breakup through poems. This is more of a fictional take on love and war told between perspective of both Aphrodite and the poet. So like I guess it's kind of hard to do what I liked and disliked about these books, because obviously it's like what I liked were some poems and what I disliked were other poems. I do think that I connected a little more to Aphrodite Made Me Do It than I did to Honeybee. As for Aphrodite Made Me Do It, like, of course there were parts that I was like, I don't relate to this at all, but there were some bits that I like related to. I took them a little out of context of like how they are here and kind of made them more in context of my life, so that's why I related to them. Like if I had to just read it straight in the context of the book, then I probably wouldn't have liked either of these 2 that much, but because I was able to like relate some things to me, that helped a lot. Those were all the books that I've read since like July to now. So in my last like talking video like this, I asked people for book recommendations, got a bunch, and I'm so excited. So my friend Drew recommended the Maximum Ride series. I don't remember who the author is, but I do remember hearing about it. I just never read them. Stars and Embers, sorry I don't know your like actual name, I'm just gonna go off your YouTube name. She recommended the Age of X series by Rochelle Mead. It's a dystopian fantasy world, so I'm already very interested. Katie over at Books and Discourse recommended The Diviners to me because she just recently as in like a month ago, because I took forever to film this, read that book and she really loved the atmosphere because it was like fun and spooky, and I live for spooky, so this is gonna be great. I'm super excited. So the next person who recommended me a book was Romy from Books and Coffee with Romy. They're very close to their YouTube goal. I would recommend subscribing. Please subscribe to Romy. It's what she deserves. She suggested Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. It's about a Chinese-American family in the 50s, and it's literary fiction, so I'm super excited. And lastly, A. Robin Reads recommended the Millennium Trilogy by Stieg Larsson because it's thrillers. Thank you so much for recommending me thrillers, because I know I said I wanted to read more, so I appreciate you so very much. Since everyone like recommended me some books, I'm thinking maybe I could do a month, maybe like over the summer, because that's when I'd have the most free time, where like my vlog would focus on reading all these books everyone suggested. If you guys think that's a good idea, please do let me know. My question for this week is just, how is the end of 2019 going for everybody? Have you guys had like a good holiday? Like if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or you don't celebrate anything, like how's the end of December going for you? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing good now that school's done, and now that I don't have to work Christmas at the mall anymore, because oof, what a nightmare. Today is actually Christmas itself. This shirt, actually, my brother got it for me, and I haven't worn flannel in years, but he bought it with love. It's super comfy, and it just makes me so happy that he even got me this. I'd like to know how you guys are doing, and if you're looking forward to the new year. That's all I've got for now. I will see you. Oh god, my brain was like, let's do the cheesy thing and say next year. No, I'm not gonna do it. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.